So what's the right spot? The right spot for you and I to be, to experience the full measure of what Jesus wants for you. Well, some people would say, well, here's the right spot. The right spot, there we go, is attending services as a seeker. Isn't it like coming to church, on the weekend and listening to the music and singing and listening to the teacher get up and talk about God? Isn't that the right spot? Oh, that's a good spot. And in that spot, you'll experience stuff you wouldn't if you weren't there. But as good as it is, it's not the bullseye. And some would say, okay, the bullseye, maybe that's serving in a ministry as a co-laborer. This is when I roll up my sleeves and I team up with some other people in order to do things to help others in the name of Jesus. Man, that's a good and powerful thing. And when you're there, you will experience things you would not have experienced otherwise. That is so good, but it's not the bullseye. And so others might say, well, how about this? Is connecting with friends as a fellow traveler. It's when I have a small group of individuals and I know them and they know me and I love them and they love me, and we share our lives and we help each other on the spiritual pathway to kind of live like God wants and be who God wants and all that kind of stuff. And boy, if you're in that spot, you'll experience things you would have never had experienced otherwise. It's a great spot, but it's not the bullseye. Great spots, we all need to be there. But if we're going to experience the full measure of what God has for us, here's where we need to be. We need to be engaging the world as a spiritual catalyst. We need to be in relationship with, friends with, people who do not yet have a relationship with Jesus. And in that relationship, we simply love them, serve them, help them, do things. We act like a normal human being. I know it can be hard, try. We just act like a normal human being with people who are not yet connected to God. And while we are interacting and just being a friend and doing life stuff and loving and supporting and helping and having fun and all that kind of stuff, we act as a spiritual catalyst. You know what a catalyst is, right? A catalyst is something that causes an important event to happen. A catalyst is a spark. It's a trigger that provides the fuel, the impetus for some really big, really important thing to happen. I remember back, it was 1996. And I remember it because it was my 40th birthday. 30th birthday. And during that kind of a little extended, celebration and surprise roasts that some of my friends had for me, I remember I looked at a picture. And it was of this fat guy in a lake throwing one of my kids. They said, "Who is that guy?" And I realized it was me. Honestly, I thought, who is that fat guy? It was me. 5'8". Okay, 6'2". 5'8", 205 pounds. I cannot tell you how that picture hit me. I'm 40. I'm almost at the end of life. I've let my health absolutely go to pot. That's it. From that moment I said, not anymore. I'm going to get back to being the active person that I used to be. And while like most people, I wish I could drop 10 more pounds. I'm 40 pounds lighter than I used to be. That picture, that moment was a catalyst that sparked a change in where my life went and the direction I took myself and changes in me. And we need to be a spiritual catalyst. We need to be someone who sparks spiritual change in the people we interact with. Moving those people closer to Jesus, helping them to better understand the real Jesus, inspiring them to just trust and give themselves to Jesus. We need to be that catalyst, and only when we're engaging people who are not connected with God and acting as a spiritual catalyst, only then in that spot can we really experience the full measure of what Jesus has in store for us. That is the sweet spot in life. In fact, I would suggest that attending services and serving in ministries and being a part of a life group, while they have their own unique power and wonderful things, their primary aim is to help us be better catalysts for people who are far from God. Now, what happens to us? Yes. And I already lopped one point off the message for today. So let's just kind of bring things to a conclusion this way. What happens when you and I live in the bullseye? Want to know? You want to know what life looks like there? You want to know what it feels like there? Scriptures give us some indication. When we're, I'm okay, I have to say this part because it's in your notes, and people rail at me when I leave things out that are in the notes. How can we be a spiritual catalyst? It's really not hard. You do it by the life we live. Not perfect, but free. We can do it by the testimony we give. We don't have to answer all the questions. All we do is say, here's what Jesus has done for me. Here's the difference he's made in my life. You draw your own conclusion. And then we do it by the invitations we extend. Just like a really immoral woman who got caught up in the Jesus movement, went back to a town and simply said, you got to go and see somebody who showed me everything I did. And that invitation changed their lives. And your invitation to somebody not connected with God, to come to an event, to come to a service, to come to a group, could change their life too. And it's not hard. By the life we live, not perfect but free, by the testimony we give, by the invitations we extend, we become spiritual catalysts. And we're living in that bullseye. And here's what happens when we live in that bullseye. We experience God most profoundly. In Acts chapter 8, we read about this guy whose name was Philip. And what we know from reading his story is that Philip was living in the bullseye. Philip was being a spiritual catalyst to help trigger other people to move closer to God and to consider Jesus and all that stuff. And here's what he experienced because he lived in the bullseye. It says, and an angel of the Lord came to Philip and said, I want you to go down to one of the roads that run south out of Jerusalem because I've got something you want to do there. Wow, angelic visit. That's kind of cool. And so he goes down to that road. And going by is one of the primary rulers. In fact, he's like the treasury secretary of Egypt under a queen whose name was Candace. And as he goes by in his chariot, Philip looks and sees he's reading from the Bible out loud with a perplexed look on his face. And as he watches them go by, the Spirit of God says, catch up and have a conversation. Hey! Which is why you should jog. Hey! Well, I just noticed you're reading something there. Do you understand it? And this treasurer from Egypt goes, how can I unless somebody helps me understand? Would you like me to help? Sure. Hops in the chariot. Uses the Bible to point the way to Jesus. The guy is persuaded and he trusts Jesus for forgiveness of sin and leadership in life. And then they drive by a lake and the guy goes, hey, why can't I just be baptized now? Philip goes, okay. Stop, get out, baptismal ceremony. They get back to the chariot, and I'm not lying, this is exactly what history says. At that moment, God beamed Philip to another county. And suddenly Philip was taken away, and he was found in another region where he was living in the bullseye and acting as a spiritual catalyst.